let's clear up some confusion about exporting settings and file formats and which file formats to use when. Let's dive in. Hey, what's up? My name is Chesky from Y&I Recording Academy. Welcome. If you're new, welcome back if you're not new. So let's talk about file formats first before we actually get into the export settings on Pro Tools or your DAW. So file formats. The two commonly most used file formats when it comes to exporting music is WAV and MP3. A WAV file is an uncompressed file and an MP3 file is a compressed file, which means that WAV files will generally be higher in size and also higher in quality. Not necessarily audible quality, because if you bounce down an MP3 with the right settings, then you shouldn't be able to audibly hear a difference in quality, but in compression, in the actual amount of size and what there is to play around with, an MP3 file is a compressed file. You can't really play around with that anymore. And a WAV file is usually uncompressed. So that being said, when do you use each one? WAV files are used whenever you want to maintain the fact that it's uncompressed. MP3 files are used when we're done with the project completely and we just want to send it to a friend so they can listen to it. Because 98% of the time when somebody's listening to your song at the end of the day on Apple Music, Spotify, wherever it is, or on a CD, they're listening to an MP3 compressed version of your song. So if you're just sending to a friend, go ahead and send that MP3 compressed version. But if you're sending to a mastering engineer, if you're sending to an upload streaming service like Spotify or YouTube, or to a mixing engineer, they request the stems, always send in WAV because these are the uncompressed files. Let them do the last step of compression to compress it down to the MP3 file. Now that we got file type out of the way, let's talk about export settings. So before we actually get to the bounce mix window, I'm gonna select in my Pro Tools session what I want to bounce. Okay, so I have a selection saved here. And the selection that I'm really looking for is on the top timeline. You see my in point is here and my out point is here. So that is going to ensure that Pro Tools only bounces what's within the selection. Okay, not doing this will give you plenty of dead space before and after. So this is a really important step when you're trying to bounce out your mix to be just the song and have it sound professional. You don't want to have the song start and then 10 seconds later, the actual song starts, meaning 10 seconds of dead air. You don't want that, and you especially don't want dead air at the end. So this is a way to ensure that. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my master fader, and I'm going to take note which output it's set to. So my output is set to monitor left, right, monitor left, right. Okay. Now I'm going to go to File, Bounce Mix. And this is the Bounce Mix folder. The first thing you're going to do, bounce mix window, first thing you're going to do is name your song. So I'm going to name it My Really Awesome Song. Okay, now we have the file type. These are the file types that I was talking about before. We have a drop-down menu of WAV, AIFF, MP3, and so on. But the two ones that I'm going to be dealing with is WAV and MP3. So let's say you want to make a WAV file because you're sending to a mastering engineer or something like that, or you're sending to Spotify. So you'll select WAV. Now it's time to select your mix source. Remember when I checked what my output of my master fader was? This is why I checked it, because I want to make sure that my mix source is the same output as my master fader. So you're going to go to your mix source, go to output, don't go to bus or physical output, go to output, and then select the output that your master fader has. So in my case, it's monitor left to right, and click that. If you do not do this, there's a very, very big chance that you'll get a blank file. I can't tell you how many times I did that, because if the bounce is taking a source from a different output, then it's just probably has nothing routing to that output, or you have something really weird being routed to that output. So it's not so good. It's happened to me plenty of times, so saving you the trouble here. The next thing is file format. Should be interleaved. Almost 100% of the time should be interleaved. Now comes the bit depth. The bit depth, when you're bouncing out WAV, should always be 24. It's just, there's no reason for it to be 16. 16 is just, I don't know why people do that. There's an option. I guess if you really have a bandwidth problem, if you have like a Wi-Fi problem and you can't send large files, then 16-bit will give you a little bit of a smaller file, but it'll also give you less quality and less uncompression. So we're doing a wave for a reason, because we want it to be uncompressed. So do it the full thing. The sample rate, always when you're exporting, should be 44.1 unless the mix engineer gives you specific instructions. But if you're uploading to Spotify or the like, then that would be optimal. If you're doing video, some people like to do 48, but I'm going to do 44.1. Then I have my options of where I want it to go when it's done bouncing. So I'll do it to the session folder, and I can have an option even to import after the bounce if I don't want to, or if I want to or not. Then I really want to check off this box over here that says offline. If I do not check off this box, it will actually bounce in real time, which means if the song is 3 minutes and 30 seconds, I would have to wait 3 minutes and 30 seconds while listening to the song in order for it to bounce down. So this kind of emulates the actual bouncing process that it was in a long time ago when we actually bounced down to a master tape. Some people make the argument that it's slightly higher in quality. I have not seen that. I've done tests and I just have not seen that, but some people make the claim that that's the case. Then I would go ahead and click bounce, and it will bounce for me. So that's how to make a wave file. Now, what if you want to make an MP3 file? You would do a similar process. You would just go to MP3 file format, and then you'll have some options over here that are grayed out. That's because Pro Tools will prompt you with another window in a minute. So it automatically will tell you MP3 compression type will be MP3. File format, again, do enter leaves. And bit depth you can't select yet, because once I hit bounce, which I'm going to do now, it will bring up the MP3 window. And this is where you get basically the compression settings are set. The file compression settings are set. So you want to do the encode speed. You could do fastest encode speed or highest quality, slow. I like to do the highest quality. Now the bit rate should be as high as it could go, so usually that is 320. Then you could go ahead if you want, and you can name the song, and you can name the artist. You can name it the album 2023, and you could put some information, and this information will get baked into the MP3 file. And then once you press OK, it will bounce down an MP3 file for you. Okay, so that's how to make a WAV file, and that's how to make an MP3 file, and that's when to use each one. What if you want to do both? What if you want to bounce down a WAV and an MP3? Why would you want to do that? Because maybe you are giving it to a client and you're not sure if they're going to use another mastering engineer or not, or you want to give them the option to upload to Spotify or to send to their friends. So you want to give them both. So to do this, just go to file type WAV, do all the settings that it would be for WAV, so 24-bit and so on. Make sure your mix source is correct, and then press add MP3. And once you press add MP3, when you press bounce, it will give you the MP3 window. So this will give you an MP3 file and a WAV file once I press OK and I put in all the settings. So I hope that's clears things up for you as far as file formats and when and how to use them, and all the file settings that should be set in Pro Tools or really in your DAW to make sure that you don't get dead air or lower quality than you're shooting for. Thanks so much for making it this far in the video. I really hope I helped clear up some settings, some export settings and some file formats for you, and you know a little bit more what's going on now, so you can go ahead and export the highest quality, right type of format for your application. And now I want to give you something. If you're looking to upgrade your home studio or start a home studio and you're not sure what to buy or how to buy and you're constrained to a budget, no worries, I got you covered. I put together an entire PDF. It's called My Home Studio Gear Guide. It's free of charge. Just go ahead and download it in the link below, and it's got everything you need for a home studio in a few different budgets. So you could go ahead with pretty much any budget that you have and either start a home studio or upgrade your home studio. And that's all I got for now, and till next time.